The very first variety is the Artemisia Powell's Castle. It's also known as white sage, wormwood, and mugwort. It's zone 6, zone 9. It will get to 2 feet in height, 2 to 3 feet in height, and 3 to 4 feet in width. It does, as you can see the picture on the right, and the top bottom one, it does have a tiny yellow flower, but that's not the selling point for that. For this one, it's the hue green like foliage that it does have. Uh, it does require to doing some controlled trim on this, so you can keep it, because if you just left it alone, it will grow out of control and size wise. So you might want to do some maintenance, controlled trim on these, mostly in the early spring. It prefers to be in the full sun and the dry tolerant variety. It's perfect for separating color and garden and interest and contrast. It is prized for its aromatic silver leaves, excellent texture, vigorous grower, especially when it's getting very, very hot. And like I said, you just might have to do maintenance trim on it just to control the size of this variety. It's also good for using in rock gardens also too. Next picture. Okay, now this one I didn't go. Me and Jeff discussed we weren't going to go into the depth of these varieties of the Astilbes, but what we did want to show you, we have a total of 14 Astilbe varieties here at the Maine. These are the 7 varieties that looks good enough so you can put on your orders and stuff like that. Most of it's coming out as more good landscape grades. Now the varieties, they're in cold houses, so they are seasoned for the weather outside. These are varieties that are not in heated houses, so you can feel confident the customer can take these and plant them in their yard and they'll be just fine. The very last picture is the Astilbe Vision in white. Of all 7 varieties, this is the smallest one, all of them. So, but still, it is a good variety. It is alive and it's coming up very fast. I believe we're going to have some 60-day trim maybe on Sunday. So, like I said, I'm going to see these things shoot up again within another couple of days. The Coletta palatris, this is also known as marsh marigold. It is a zone 7. From zone 3 to zone 7. It has a nice clusters of tiny yellow flowers. The thing about this variety, it's also American Beauty, which means it's basically native to America. This is a variety that really sort of caught me off. That it's considered to be more of like a wet plant that prefers to be almost like in a guar garden. It likes the soil being nice and wet. As you can see the picture and to the bottom right, as you can see, it's almost like a water plant. It's good idea to plant these in areas you might have in your yard, or for landscapers know that in areas that you know that it stays saturated and wet. This is the ideal plant for those locations. It's actually found along slow streams and wooded wetlands. Chrysogonum virginianum. This is also known as golden star. It's a zone 5, zone 8. Will get 6 inches in height to 12 inches in width. This has a nice cluster of tiny yellow flowers in it. It is ideal to plant this in areas such as under trees. It likes to be planted in full part sun to part shade. So it's ideal to be able, like, if you've got a lot of woody area, this is the ideal plant you want for that. Plant them in mass and in clusters. That way you can make a nice ground cover effect for this variety. It has the starry golden daisy-like flowers. It makes it a great ground cover. Picture you see this on the right. Every picture I'm showing this mostly on the right. These are the current pictures of what the plant looked like as of yesterday. As you can see, it has lots of buds and blooms going on. Okay, now we have the phlox blue moon. It is also known as woodland phlox. It is a zone 4 to zone 8. We get 12 inches in height to 12 inches in width. It has a cluster of purple blue-like flowers. This picture I still like to say is from yesterday. As you can see, this variety is in bud and bloom right now. It is a great pollinator. It attracts hummingbirds and butterflies. And it's a beautiful flower and sweet fragrance. like I said, this right here, you got some good shelf life on this. Next week is going to be a little bit colder nights, so it will prolong it. But like I said, these are also in. This is in like more of a cold house, so you can have some feel something safe about putting this up in your yard. Next variety. Now this is the pulmonary high contrast. This was trimmed maybe 3 weeks ago, but it came back very, very fast. It's also known as lugwort. It's a zone 4 to zone 9. It will get 9 inches in height to 24 inches in width. There's two stunning factors about this variety. The very first one is that it has buds that start off looking like they're pink, and as the bud opens up, it becomes more of this bluish color. That's one thing that makes it stand out for these beautiful flowers. And it also has that the splashing effect of the silvery, variegated, fuzzy-like leaves to it. It gives a great, interesting contrast. So when the buds and blooms are gone, you have this very beautiful flower with very, very interesting foliage. Would do very good in the landscape. It does attract hummingbirds. It's very low maintenance, and like I said, it tolerates pests as deers and rabbits. Next picture. Okay, next two varieties I'm gonna have is gonna be sort of the sedums. Most of the time you see sedums, you mostly just think of them as just being solid green. These other two are more of a nice variegated varieties. This first variety I'm showing right here is the sedum Dream Dazzler. It's also known as Dream Dazzler Stonecrop. It's zone 4 through zone 9. You will get these pink star-like flowers into it, where, as you can see, star-shaped cluster-like flowers. So it's very stunning when it's in bloom. Once it's bloomed, the other great thing about something about this point is the variegation. It has this red, variegated hue foliage to it. It's very good. You either put them into your landscape, or you could just leave them in a pottery for decoration. This variety is considered more to be known as a ground spreader. You only get 8 inches of height, but it spreads out 18 inches wide. Mostly all sedums, they like more of a dry, medium, well-drained soil, and it's very, very low maintenance. You could put these in the ground almost just like basically just walk away and forget about them. They'll do just well. Go ahead to the next picture. Next stunning sedum is the sedum sweet and sour. The name says it all because it reminds you of a lemon. It is also known as white-tipped stonecrop. This is a zone 4 to zone 8. You'll get 4 to 6 inches in height to 1 to 2. I think that's supposed to be inches, but width. This is another variety also too that's known for as being the ground spreader. It's supposed to get yellow flowers. Yet I have yet to see that. If I'm being honest with you. But the great thing about something is for the foliage. You have that variegated of yellow and green foliage for this variety right here. It likes to be in the sun. It tolerates dry sites. Like I said, it's also another one that has a very stonecrop-like serrated tongue-like leaves. They emerge as nearly frosty white with light and green. It's good for rock gardens. And another thing that's being really big now, these mostly seen in cities, is roof gardens, where they're taking a lot of sedums, roofs, and they're putting them in roofs in cities to sort of like give a green earth to a lot of city areas and everything like that. So this is another good variegated of sedum that I have. Go ahead to the next picture. Now this is the supplement combo. This is the 8-inch. We just received these yesterday. Vince will be taking these out virtual and be putting them into Great Plains. They will be going into the spring crop. As you can see, me and Jeff, we've been keeping this contract or eye on the weather. Basically, what he's looking for is he's looking for nighttime temperatures to be more up in the 40s. 40s or higher 40s. Next week, as you can see, we're still in the mid 30s to low 30s. So I don't think I'm gonna be putting these on next week either. But I did want to show you this the crop that came in and let you know what they look like. We do have 1,200 of these available. They will be put in. They're in the spring bucket now, but they will be moved hopefully by next following week. The great things about these succulents is more of they're close to almost a cactus family, very, very low maintenance. A beautiful array of color. It can be used for 2 reasons. You can use it as a decoration for inside your home, or you can use them for rock petals and rock gardens. The thing about this the succulent 8-inch that we got this year, it is in a different pot compared to what we got last year. Last year we had them in square pots. This is more of an oval, narrow pot, but just it's the same variety, but it's just in a different pot. So if customers got them, they say there's two different ones. It's just they just put them in a different pot this year, just to let you know about it. Like I said, these are the pictures of the crop that we received yesterday. Okay, the next I'm also, since we're in that same greenhouse, we wanted to show you the chick charms. These are the mixed bowls. As you can see, once again, we're waiting for the weather to be more in the mid-40s at night. We will be moving these into current as weather is willing. This is the zone 4, the zone 9. We sell these in six per tray. They like the full sun, partial shade. Once again, the chick charms of varieties is almost like cactus. You just either use them into your home as decoration or use them in your patio pots on decos, or just put them in little rock gardens. But it's another great variety is that you just plant it, walk away from it, water occasionally needs, and they just walk away from it, and it's just very, very low maintenance. Next picture. This is the Prunus snow fountain. It's also known as Prunus snow fountain cherry. Jeff had Andrea take some pictures of these yesterday. As you can see, they are getting into being flower. It is a fragrant white flower. It likes the moist and well-drained soil. This is a weeping ornamental that attracts birds. The great characteristics about this variety is that you get this beautiful white flower in the early spring, and then you'll get this nice variegated of leaf colors during the fall. So you have a double win for these varieties right here. But like I said, this is a 15-gallon, and Jeff this is a recent picture. You see this on the left. And then we have the Prunus pink snow shower. Once again, this is another variety that it will give you beautiful pink shower flower blooms in the spring. This one's not in full bloom yet, but it is starting to get there. It's another thing is it's also like the moist and well-drained soil. It's urban tolerant, and it also attracts birds. It's a beautiful cherry tree that has pretty pink flowers in the spring. And it's a gold fall color to it, and this is another good weeping variety of prunes we have. This is all another variety. This is a 15-gallon also.
Anyways, we'll jump right into it. Azalea Karen. This has been a plant we've been out of in the past. And we did increase the number by quite a bit, so we're growing a lot more. You can see here the quality is excellent on this 3-gallon. And if you kind of look close, you can see, how old's this photo, Cheryl? Maybe a couple of days old. You can start to see the buds are starting to elongate. We're not really cracking any color yet, but I would expect to see little hints of color pretty soon. Typically it starts blooming at the very end of the month. I think we're still on track there. Usually these azaleas are starting to fade down by the time you get to Mother's Day. So, this is always, you want these landed over the next couple weeks. They ship so much better when they're in this state than trying to ship them when they're blooming. So, it's kind of, I know it's difficult to get things out, but, we still have to think about how the shipping will work. They also have to be protected. So don't forget to mention that when they do bring them in, they do not want to freeze these plants. So, with azaleas and some other plants, they have to be a little careful. You don't have to have them in heat or anything, but they just got to be in some kind of protected area just to keep them from getting too cold. So be aware of that. So next one is Azalea Pleasant White. This one here, we pretty much we ran through our Cascade. Cascade's the kind of the plant we've gone with, but Pleasant White's also a really good plant. You can see there, really nice color to its foliage, so it gives you a really nice contrast. Pleasant White has a little bit darker color leaf than Cascade, so I kind of like it in that point because it gives you more contrast to that white flower. It helps that white flower stand out so much better. because you got darker foliage on the background. So we got 1,000 of those available, and they're ready to go. So a new one for us is next. It's Prunus Zuzu. So this is a shrubby dude. This is in the Proven Winners program. It's going to be, fairly compact, probably kind of like Sistina growth, maybe like some of the more slower growing Physocarpas, kind of that type of growth. It has a green leaf with a little bit of hints of purples and reds in it. But you can see there the flowers are just starting to open. They're really pink. Didn't show up really good in the photo. It kind of looks almost white, doesn't it?
It's the sun.
But the sun was kind of bleaching out. But it is a pink flower. They're just starting to open right now. New plant. We do have 100 of them available. So, see if you can take a look, get some excitement going on that one. Next is Rosia Melligans. We're going to stick with flowers and color.
Excuse me, Dave, I have a quick question on this. That reminds me of like a flowering almond. Is that in
Sure. Yep.
thing?
It could be like that. This is a completely different guy. This is, it's in the prunus family and the cherry family. It's kind of different. It's out there. It's quite a bit different. Something we haven't been used to growing. So it's hard to relate it to one thing. It's going to be a standalone plant. Very unique. Looks like the hardiness is really good from what we've seen. With prunus in general, you have to be careful of a disease called whole shot. Cystinas can get that, but it doesn't seem to be too bad, but it could get it, but that comes with all prunus. So new, it's interesting. See what you can do with it.
Cool, thank you.
So Rosie Melligan, we do have a good availability on this, and look at that photo. That's what we're shipping, and the crop you can see behind is picture perfect all the way through. I mean, we're going to land these plants full of buds. They're full of buds. Now this is definitely something for Mother's Day, maybe even slightly after Mother's Day. We're a little ways away from them blooming. This would be an excellent plant. The guys did a great job growing the crop. We got 600 plus, maybe something to talk about to get people excited. Maybe a week or so from here, you can still be talking about it because we got a good amount of time to get it out there before it blooms. But just keep it in mind, keep it in your bag of tricks. Next is PJM. So you can see here that they're blooming. They're in different states of bloom. We're actually moving today. We put 1,000 of them in the kind of the barn storage at Avon to help keep them a little cooler, to slow them down a little bit. But even those are starting to bloom. They're going to be in full bloom next week. The PJMs bloom early. That's how this thing works. We do have some availability. Plus, we got quite a few booked that we'd still like to ship. So just a reminder, anybody really wants to get this in to have some color, I would think, you'll have a decent bloom with the way the temps look next week. For at least almost 2 weeks, at least 10 days, you'll have a real nice bloom. And they'll still be hanging around, but they'll look a little rough once we get somewhere around the 22nd or so of the month. See what you can do there, push those out. Viburnum mohawk. So you can see there the buds on them. All the fragrance are budded up. Tom was actually up yesterday walking, just real excited about them. He really liked what we've been doing with the program. So all of our fragrance, they're going to go out loaded with buds. So that is not going to be an issue. And they're all in different states. None of them are open yet. But you can see there, we're starting to get a haze of color. And it ain't going to take a lot. A couple of days where we're in the 60s again, they'll pop open. But we do have some availability on the fragrance. So you can talk about those as well. Next one is spring lace. There we go. Now, spring lace is a different animal. It has a tiny bit of fragrance, but it's nowhere near as fragrant as the other ones. What's kind of cool about this one is the leaf. This isn't a great time of year to show you the leaf and the flower. The flower presents very well on the top. You can see there. I love the flower. The flower is way better than any fragrant that's out there as far as looks. As far as smell, it's going to have a very weak fragrance, so it's not going to be anywhere near what a cayuga or Lisi or any of those would be. But it's an interesting plant, long, hairy, fuzzy leaf. It's almost semi-deciduous, kind of like a lantana would be, but it's hardy. This one comes out of the breeding from Bailey's Nursery. It's in the first edition program. Even though they listed as a zone 6, I think they were a little cautious. I think it'd probably be okay even for zone 5, but they do list it as a zone 6. They wanted to be a little careful with it, so because it is kind of almost semi-deciduous. So we got 200 of those available. And last, really not showing this plant so much to, well, we still have availability, but I wanted to show you this just to talk about growth. So plants like Weigelia, Potentilla, which are still in the spring buckets, lilacs, azaleas, they're all still covered in the nursery. And, you can see the type of growth we have here on these plants. We need to just pass along to our customers. The growth can be a little tender. We're not really forcing them hard, but they are protected. We keep them around 40 degrees or they get warmer depending on the sun. So this is not something that you want to just set out in the open. So they need to be careful, especially if they're going to see below freezing. They need to do something to protect them. So we just wanted to throw that out there. We're a little ways away from that. I think the frost-free date for our area in Ohio is around May 10th or so. So we got a ways to go before we hit that. We do have availability on it, and that's what they look like today. Cheryl actually took that photo today. So that's what I got.